accountants that are in our midst, I would like for us to start this. Before we start this session, I would like for us to. I will take us back to what an invoice really is. Because for every organization, the invoice is the backbone. After cash is invoicing, because if you don't, if you even if before cash it's invoicing, because you must be instructed. There must be a contract before you generate an invoice. So you must first of all know the implication, what an invoice means, the essence of it, because without an invoice there will be no business, and that's why, and there will be no revenue recognition, irrespective of how good you are as an accountant, as a financial reporter. If your invoicing is not up to date, it's not top notch, the accounts will be inaccurate. Back to, as I said earlier, on how to go about invoicing, on what the essence of of invoicing, before we go to the main topic proper, which is the implication, implementation, and guidance of the FRS e-invoicing. Because the whole essence, the summary of the essence of what FRS is currently doing is to revolutionize tax payments in Nigeria. And as chartered accountants, as tax practitioners, we must be on top of our game. And in addition to that, we should see this even beyond knowledge gathering. We should see it as a way of adding value to ourselves, financially, intellectually. So it goes beyond just reading those lovely communique issued by the. How do we apply it to our clients, for those who are consultants? How do we apply it to how do we apply it to those of us who are still in employment, so that people within your colleagues will see you as an internal consultant, as a repository of knowledge, so to speak. So that's the essence. So it goes beyond just reading, and you must be able to we must be able to apply what we've read so far. So for every business, an invoice is raised to, is the fundamental purpose of an invoice is to request payment, for goods and services provided. And it clearly tells us it tells the customer how much they pay and how much they owe. It's also used to create a record of a sale. An invoice is a formal document that is used to document transaction. It also includes what has been sold, the price, the date, parties involved, the the record. This record is essential for both business accounting and consumer. If I know some unstructured organizations that use their invoice to track expenses. They use it to track expenses. So that shows how powerful an invoice is. An invoice can also be used for financial management. Allows businesses to track their sales, revenue, outstanding payments. The information in an invoice are so powerful that it can also be used for budgeting, forecasting, managing cash flow, and on the other hand, use customer can also use to track, like as I said earlier, to track their expenses. It's also used for legal Can also be used for legal protection. Invoice can also serve as a legal document, outlining agreement between a business and its customers. In the case of a dispute, it's even in court, the judge or the lawyers will ask you, where is the invoice? Because that's what will evidence whether there's an agreement or not. So it provides evidence in terms of the sale. It's also used for tax compliance, which is why we are here. Invoices, without invoice, there will be no VAT computation, there will be no withholding tax computation. So invoices are often required for tax purposes. They document the amount of tax collected, if applicable, and provide a record of income and expense. It's also used for inventory tracking, as the case may be. For that business for those businesses that, even if you render services, you need to. That's why I always tell my clients, no matter how you discuss with your client on WhatsApp, don't let it end there. Ensure you have an invoice, so that you have something to hold on to, and something documented that will serve as a guide in the future. So invoices can be used, as I said earlier, can be used for your invoice inventory tracking, especially when you are working back and your information are scattered. You can use your invoice to determine your order level, minimum level, and what have you. So for business that sell physical products, invoices can be linked to the inventory management system for those that are in well big and structured organization. It tells them to track stock level and manage supplies. Invoice also elicit professionalism and trust. Issuing a clear and professional invoice demonstrates that you know what you are doing as a professional or as a business owner. It demonstrates that the business is organized, reliable. The business has integrity, and you want to build trust because the content of an invoice is immutable. It can't be changed, and if it will be changed, there must be an agreement between the business owner and the customer. So it also elicits trust and professionalism. It shows you have structures, and we are in a digital era. We have so many digital platforms of software that you can use. You don't even need to use Excel. There are so many free apps online that you can use to generate an invoice. So essentially, it's the backbone of a business financial operations, and this is how they ensure that the business get paid, maintain accurate records, comply with legal and tax requirements, also build trust with the customer. So from this, we now graduate to what e-invoicing means, because invoicing has to do with the paper, but e-invoicing is more of a digital, before we move to the FRS e-invoicing. So the essence of e-invoicing, as I said earlier, is to take it in a notch higher, and it goes beyond just creating and sending invoice digitally. It is fundamentally transformed, streamlined, and it's also streamlined the entire invoicing process after offering several benefits, because e-invoicing increases efficiency of the business. It reduces costs. You don't have to spend money on paper, manual processing. It also gives a lot of substantial savings for the business, especially those that processes large volume of invoices. Those are into manufacturing that they do a lot. So if you have an e-invoice, it's very easier for you to, you'll be able to reduce your costs, and if it makes your payment cycle faster, because you don't have to go through the rigors of printing paper invoices. Once you generate it and you automate it, the customer gets it in within the speed, within the speed of light. So it improves efficiency, enhance security, because every invoices should have an invoice platform often incorporates security features such as encryption and data signature, which protect sensitive invoice data from authorized access and these are the things the FRS are looking at while setting up this e-invoicing platform. So it's also streamlines auditing.
Mr. Denny, please, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Please, I think you have access to share your screen. You can put the slide in presentation mode so that it can show.
Okay, I think is it showing now?
Yeah, I don't know whether you're the one sharing now.
Yes.
Not in slideshow.
Yes,
mode.
It's showing.
But not in slideshow mode.
It's not in slideshow mode.
Okay, let me check that from here.
Yeah.
Let me. Okay, can you project from your end since you have the slide with you? Let me, so that we don't waste time.
Okay, Secretariat, please, can you project from your end?
Don't you have access? You are a co-host.
Okay.
So if I can continue, okay. Can I continue?
Yeah, continue, sir.
Continue.
Okay. So it's as I was saying, it streamlines auditing. It makes audit. It provides an audit trail for all invoice transaction and makes it easier for businesses to comply with regulatory regulatory requirements. It enhances better data visibility as well, and it's also environmentally friendly because, as I said earlier, it eliminates paper, and e-invoicing contributes to a more sustainable environment. Now that we
Can
are in the
continue.
era of ESG and what have you, so it can also be integrated to other systems, and it can be used to comply with government regulation, more like what we are currently discussing right now. The FRS mandating the e-invoices to reduce. The essence of it is to reduce tax evasion, increase transparency and efficiency, and all these compliance are regulations are the reason why business are embracing e-invoicing. So um I think I've been able to deal with this. Will be this is an overview of what invoicing is all about. And for the sake of knowledge, I think for am I communicating? Hello?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear you.
you
Okay.
are.
Yes, we can hear you,
Okay,
sir.
so
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
yes, yes, yes.
So e-invoicing which also means electronic invoicing, is the process of creating and transmitting and receiving invoices in a structured and digital format without the need of paper-based documentation, unlike the traditional PDF and scan invoices and e-invoicing data that are directly transferred between the e-invoicing system of a seller and receiving buyer, often via a secure network or an API program. And for this FRS e-invoicing requirement, the FRS has collaborated with the National Information and Data Development Agency, NITD, as a service provider and the access point provider. So to me, this is a very good move because it's also a government agency. They are not giving it to, at this critical time, giving it to an independent contractor, or so it should be a government to government relationship. These providers will facilitate taxpayer onboarding and integration, and it will also ensure seamless invoice transmission processes. So as I said earlier, e-invoice can cater for B2B business, business to consumer, and business to government. So business to business has to do with the relationship between two businesses, you know, like a car manufacturing company dealing with a a car manufacturing company dealing with a tire company. Or this is when a one business sells a product or service to another business. I want us to think of a business that makes car parts, you know, maybe like I said earlier, a car manufacturer, or a software company that sells accounting software to a law firm. As an accounting firm, it's a business. It's a relationship between two businesses. So basically, business sells to other businesses. We also have a business to consumer, which is a business to B2C. This is when a business sells products directly to the individual customer, like me and you. An example is a situation whereby a store selling clothes, or a restaurant selling meal, or an online shop selling books, selling electronic gadgets to all. And it's also from there we move to the
Apologies, Mr. Bangboye. Who is Irene, please? Why are you scratching the screen? Please, we should be careful now when we are online. Please, can you stop scratching the screen? Can go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma. So we also have a business to government. This is when a business sells products or service to the government agency or department. Think of a construction company that builds roads on behalf of the government, a technology company that provide IT services to a government office, or a supplier that sells that supplies things to a government department. It's selling goods to the government. So either ways, the most important thing is invoices are being generated. So no matter the business, even for NGOs, invoice must be generated either for products produced or service rendered. And importance of invoicing, I think I've mentioned that earlier because of time, and I think we should go to the workflow, because this next slide deals with I've already mentioned that while I was talking about the overview. So the FRS e-invoicing requirements, it's like I said earlier, is set to the essence of it is to revolutionize tax payments in Nigeria. And the FRS is actually pushing for digitalization and enhanced tax compliance through this initiative, which is the National E-invoicing Regime, which is also known as the Merchant Buyer Solution. And as I said earlier, a lot of consultants, the big four firms, a lot of people have written about it. And what is this NBS platform solution? It's a system implemented by the FRS to enhance VAT collection and compliance. And it leverages technology to track transactions between registered VAT vendors and their buyers. So for an organization to be able to tap into this, especially the large taxpayer, because the FRS is starting from the large taxpayer. And the criteria for this is that your revenue base must be 5 billion. The threshold is 5 billion naira. And I think I read that the FRS has extended the onboarding because of operational constraint challenges to the first of extended it to 1st of November. That will afford the other large taxpayers ample opportunity to put their house in order. And I also learned that MTN were the first to embrace this system, followed by Huawei and followed by the IHS, and other big companies too are following through. So while when it gets to smaller companies, to other companies or medium-sized companies that are yet to fully consider this, the first thing we have to do for any organization to do is to identify if your business fall under the FRS criteria for the mandatory e-invoicing. This often starts with, like I said earlier, it starts with large taxpayer, and gradually it will extend to smaller businesses. So another thing is the registration processes. You must understand the registration process on the FRS platform, and this will likely involve you providing the company information, TIN, and other platforms. And that's where we come in as chartered accountants and practitioners. We must know this thing in total. And I will discuss this under the key implications for chartered accountant and the impact too, the overall impact on chartered accountant, because it gives us increased responsibility, and it calls for continuous learning, because a lot of a lot of businesses will rely on us to provide guidance, and it must be done at a cost, because the essence of every business is to make profit. So we must see this. If any, I always tell my friends and my colleagues, even my mentees, that if any updates or any law comes out, you have to dig deep and see how you can add value to either your clients, your colleague, or your immediate environment. So how the e-invoicing works is, first of all, the invoice generation. A business generates an e-invoice through the accounting system, and each invoice is digitally signed and encrypted by the FRS by creating a secure door that complies with both the local and international. And the essence of the transmission is actually done by the access point provider, the APP. And as I said earlier, the FRS is in collaboration with the National Information Technology Development Agency. They are working in collaboration with them to ensure that things are working well. After transmission, we have the validation. The FRS invoicing it's set to align to with global standard like PEPL and other globally recognized framework, allowing seamless translation and compliance with foreign e-platforms. From there, we have the approval and payment process. Once the buyer receives the encrypted invoice, FRS interface will verify the invoice, and they can decrypt it by using their registered disencryption key. And this decryption allow them to review and validate this invoice, and the invoice and validate this before proceeding to payment. So after that is the archiving stage, where the invoice is stored for legal, audit, accounting, financial reporting, and audit purposes. So features of the e-invoicing system is, like I said earlier, real-time authority reporting, automated reminder where for pending payments, integration with the banking system. And as a practitioner, I will also want us to look at look inwards, especially those who are in employment. I want us to look at integration very well. We must ensure that our platform, our software, can integrate with should be able to integrate with that of the FRS, so that we don't have a situation where there will be disruption and we have two parallel e-invoicing platform. So we should I think that is a very critical at this moment. We also have multi-currency and cross-border transaction support for those transactions that are not in naira, maybe dollar-based, euro-based, as the case may be. And it's also secure too, to guide against on warranted access, so that people that are not authorized, elements that are not authorized, will not have access to the system. So I hope I'm communicating.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So the Federal Inland Revenue, like I said earlier, the Federal Inland Revenue Service of Nigeria has introduced the e-invoicing system as part of the border tax digitalization system. Like I said earlier, we are in the digital transformation era. They came up with the Tax Pro Max platform, and now they are coming up with the e-invoicing platform, which is, to me, is a welcome development. And the three cardinal objectives of this is to enhance tax compliance, reducing tax evasion, and improve revenue collection, as the case may be. So the implication of this, especially for businesses and for companies, as it has financial implication. We look at the implementation costs associated with software training and system integration. We look at the potential savings too. Like I said earlier, we moved gone are the days of paper invoicing. So we look at the potential saving, the long-term costs as it relates to reduction in paper usage, manual labor, and the cost of error. You don't want to bill a client you are supposed to bill 10 million. You are now billing that client 1 million or 1 million, for instance. You don't want to go through the rigors of sending mails here and there, and it's not good for the reputation of every business. So this will reduce error, and it also is good for cash flow too. Like I said earlier, faster cash flow cycle can improve. Faster payment cycle can improve cash flow. We also look at the operational implication, process changes, the need for training, like what we are doing now, the need to train staff on the new system and procedure, IT infrastructure, which may require the upgrade of the current IT infrastructure every organization is using. We have to look at the compliance implications too, the penalty. The non-compliance can result in penalty from the FRS. Increased scrutiny is also very important. We must look at invoicing will provide the FRS greater visibility into transaction, potentially leading to more frequent audit. Because I heard someone said on YouTube that this new platform will reduce audit because the FRS will have will have more access. But I always tell I beg to differ because it will further increase audit because they now have access online real time to all your activities. So they don't need to wait for you till the end of the year or till the time of dex review or tax audit for them to be able to have access to your invoices and your operations. They can see it online real time. So it has its own implication. You also look at the strategic implication. It gives, as I said earlier, like I said earlier, MTN being the first to do it did it for strategic reason because they doing it and Huawei that did it. They did it because they know by being the first to tap into this, their name will be all over the news, and the people will give them accolades as a very compliant company. So that itself is a competitive advantage against other competitors in the telecom industry, such as Airtel, uh, Etisalat, and Glo. It gives so early adoption can demonstrate innovation and improve relationship with the customer and supplier. Part of the strategic implication is the enhanced um, data analytics. E-invoicing can be used to gain insights into sales trends, customer behavior, and overall business and financial performance. Beyond this, we also look at the implementation. We look at the implementation strategy, and which is one of the main section of this webinar. We also look at so first part of the implementation is is actually step by step, and we must so according to the FRS, the implementation, they have the planning phase, the integration stage, the training stage, testing stage, and go live. And since it's a plan, you could see that what they published has actually been disrupted somehow because there is already an extension to May 1st. But I think this timeline can be tweaked and can still follow. So, but generally speaking, we have the assessment and planning, which involves the impact assessment and the evaluation of the current impact and e-invoicing process, system, and resources. We also need to, for there to be a proper implementation, there's a need to form it for every organization to form a team, assemble a team of representatives from finance. It's not only a finance team, it's an HR team, it's an operational, so that everybody will know the implication of this thing. Because the invoice it will no longer be an internal affair. It is something that will be generated to outside to the FRS, and the implication of that is that once you push it out, it will be very difficult to reverse it. So we also look at setting objective. You must define your clear objective for the implementation. Look at the budget too. Budget is very important. You budget for the software training. Look at the software selection, system integration, process redesigning, training and communication, pilot implementation, and the full rollout. And from there, we come to the guidance for businesses for companies who are into this, who will be using this invoicing platform. So I think we've discussed this earlier, and it ensures compliance with regulation. It also involves understanding regulatory requirements, for the review, and including the you must use the approved format, submission deadline, and data reporting requirements. And these are the general requirements or elements that must be on every electronic invoice. You must have your, just like the paper invoice, you must have your tax identification number of the tax identification number, the TIN of the seller and the buyer. You must have your unique number, the date of issuance, the description of goods and services, the quality and unit price, the VAT payable, and the total amount. So there must be, every business must have in mind that there must also be compliance audit, which involves periodically checking e-invoices process to ensure that they are complying with the FRS requirements. So from there, we look at the challenges that has to do with this. We'll talk about the resistance to change. A lot of people are, a lot of employees, suppliers they may be resistant to it because most of them are not familiar with it. And we are now in the era of AI, because some people may think this thing might take their job, especially those billing and invoicing officer. But for me, I beg to differ. It will only make you more relevant in your organization, because it will also add to your job responsibilities, because beyond you raising an invoice, you might also be the one to interface or to interfere with the FRS. We also look at the technical issues as well, integrating the e-invoicing platform with the existing accounting ERP, point of sales, as the case may be, depending on the kind of business, whether it's a manufacturing organization or a service-based business. We also look at compliance misunderstanding. Business may initially struggle to interpret and implement all IFRS requirements, leading to potential error. We also look at cyber security risk. A lot of organizations are very wary, especially exposing their invoices and accounting process and system to with other organizations. So this is also a very big challenge that must be looked to. So the solution to this is to implement change management strategy, as I've said earlier, ensure communication, between all the stakeholders about the benefit of this invoicing. There must be training, like I said earlier on. There must be pilot implementation. And for the pilot implementation, you must be ready to start small. You must be ready to start small. Begin with pilot implementation involving a limited number of people before going live. After that, you must also monitor performance, so that you know that what you are doing, you're actually doing right. After doing that, you address the issue before you do the full rollout. So apart from that is the technical support. There must be professional. You must work with IT. Even though we are accountants, we know debit and credit. We know the VAT implication. We know the law. We can't do away with working with IT specialists, people who are specialists in this thing, because we can't know everything. So we also talk about. We also need to consider troubleshooting protocols, which involves the establishment of processes for quick identification and resolution of technical issues. We also talk about. We need to talk about the solution is the vendor support. We must choose a very good software provider that offers robust customer support and system update as regards the e-invoicing operation and platform. So we also part of the solution is compliance assurance. There must be a checklist. You have, like I said, as I said earlier, there must be an incorporation of this, because this is an additional responsibility, and it must be must be included in the business and internal compliance checklist, and it must be aligned with the FRS e-invoicing regulation. There must be periodic internal audits to detect error early before before it goes out. So this is an additional internal audit function. There must be cyber security safeguards to the use of encryption protocols and data for all invoice transmission. There must be role-based access control so that people that are not authorized will not have access to those invoices, to those sensitive data. There must be regular security assessment to detect system vulnerability, which is also very key and important. And okay, I think that's that for now. And that brings me to the implication for we chartered accountants and tax practitioners. As I said earlier, we shouldn't see this as um, an additional pronouncement or an additional regime, invoicing regime. We should see it as an avenue through which we can add value to ourselves, and there are areas to which we can look at as chartered accountants, for us to make use of this regime to our utmost advantage. We can look at client advisory and implementation. As chartered accountants, we need to advise our clients on VAT vendors of our VAT vendors, for instance, on the requirement of the MBS registration and compliance. We can assist them with the registration process and ensure accurate transaction recording. We can also help them with VAT compliance review, especially when it's more of VAT duty. Maybe they've not been complying for over the years or going forward, depending on the case. We can help them out with the auditing, reviewing VAT transactions to ensure that they are correctly captured and recording on the MBS platform. This is very crucial for preventing errors and potential penalty. We can also involve in training and education. For instance, I think everybody is just hearing about this, but even by the virtue of me facilitating this program, I've learned a lot about it. And if people are talking about it, I can say a lot about this invoicing part. So I think that should apply to us as chartered accountant and tax practitioner as well. So we must be and for the best practice on VAT compliance, because the essence of this platform is to to ensure VAT compliance basically and tax compliance generally. So we can also help assist them in due diligence, performing due diligence on VAT claims to ensure their validity and accuracy based on information available on the MBS platform. We can also help with technology proficiency. So that's why we, as accountants, we need to be proficient in using the MBS platform and other related technologies. Just like how we handle tax promax when it came out. A lot of people were finding it difficult to handle the tax promax when it came out. But to God be the glory, a lot of us are better informed now and we know how to navigate our ways through it. So increased scrutiny too. So it can also, like I said earlier, the MBS enabled the FRS to monitor VAT transaction closely and potential. So we can also assist our clients, our prospective clients on that areas as well. So the overall impact, before I leave, I will leave with the overall impact and the recommendation. It gives us increased responsibility. It is a regime of greater responsibility, to ensure client compliance, the need for continuous learning. We must stay up to date with the latest development in tax law, regulation, and technology. And it's also a demand for specialized skill. If it involves us collaborating with others, maybe IT or people who are more knowledgeable, we can do that. And it's also an opportunity for other value-added services. You know, chartered accountants and tax professionals can offer a range of value-added services such as system implementation, training, and compliance review. So, as I said earlier, the final recommendation before I leave is we should be proactive about learning about the MBS and the invoicing regime, by attending webinar, workshop, training organized by FRS and other professional bodies. We should invest in technology. We should communicate with our clients or our employer about this latest developments, and we should collaborate too when necessary. So for now, I think I can accommodate because of time constraint. I'll be accommodating questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Denny Bangui. Thank you. We appreciate this beautiful presentation. Thank you so much, and thank you for reminding us again, without just assuming that we remember what invoice meant. Thank you for taking us through the requirement, the implication, the guidelines, or even the timeline. Thank you for calling our attention to that. We appreciate it. Before we go into question and answer, please let me do something in this way. Immediately after you are done with answering questions, there's going to be a small presentation to you, and I'm going to use one stone to kill two birds. I'd like to call on our immediate past chairman in the district. I'm talking of Alaji.
No, not immediate past, our past chairman.
Sorry, our past chairman. I'm so sorry, not immediate. I'm so sorry. Time is just so short that you won't even know that there's now past. Permit me, sir. So I'm calling on Dr. Kolaole Bisiriyu to help us with some additions to this topic. Then we'll now take question and answer for our speaker today. And at the same time, sir, Alaji, you help me to present the award to our speaker for today. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, my technical secretary, my past chairman, other high school present here. I also want to thank the paper presenter for a job well done. I've been asked to just give probably a summary of what e-invoicing is all about on the angle of a tax administrator. All right, but whatever I say here as a tax administrator is on my own. It's not the view of the Federal Revenue Service. Like the previous presenter said, the invoicing is actually different from the usual soft copy invoice. People normally misconstrue that why does the FRS introduce e-invoicing? We are used to soft copy invoice. Like I said, e-invoicing is a digital version of the traditional invoice. You must know the key issue about the issue of e-invoicing. It's issued, transmitted, and received in what? In a structured format. When I talk about structured formats, they are usually in a SML. The SML is an extensible markup language. It's being issued in extensible markup language in SML, and it transmits from the issuer to the buyer. Right, and like also the people said, when I first started this issue, they commenced this issue of e-invoicing last year, November 2024, and that was when it was introduced. They had the stakeholders session in March 2025 with a large taxpayers group. The e-invoicing system in Nigeria now is basically focusing more now on the large taxpayers. Those are people that has a turnover of 5 billion and above. Initially, it was to end in August, but it has a 3-month extension to November. That also has been put forth by the PAP Center. So we must also know, like you also said, even though FIS is the one championing this e-invoicing, it's being managed by various stakeholders, and among those people involved were the NIDA. What does NIDA do? NIDA is actually the one that regulates and give guidance for business for electronic invoicing. They are the one that accredit the access point providers and system integrators. Just people that will come to you and they will accredit them, and I know that we relate with companies to help them do all those access points, provide the access point to them, and also they also appoint people that they call system integrators. People have asked, what is the legal basis for this e-invoicing? Before now, FRS is under Section 25 and 26 of the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act. They have power to deploy technology to automate tax administrator, right? And subsequently after that, in the new act, there was this section of Section 158 of the Nigerian Tax Act that gives the FRS that say a taxable person making a taxable supply shall implement the fiscalization system deployed by the service. That's under section 158. It goes further under sub 2 of 158 to say that anybody that failed into comply with this thing we prescribe. Before now, on the bill, on the initial Nigeria tax bill, there's a penalty of 200,000 naira that's been put on people that fail in this regard. That penalty has been removed for now, but whether that will be returned is something that we cannot say. The issue of e-invoicing, like he said, it has to do with business to business, which is B2B, business to customer, B2C, and business to government. Currently now, Nigeria is adopting the B2B and B2G. And the issue of B2 Nigeria under one also Nigeria, the B2B and B2G is what is called clearance and reporting system. What do they mean by that? You know, when you issue an invoice, you must issue before the invoice can be issued. FIS must issue what is called invoice reference number, and also what they call CSID. Cryptography stamp identifier on that invoice. Once that is issued, the buyer automatically get that invoice immediately, right? And so the issue of output VAT and input VAT is already known. Gone are the days whereby FRS normally receive VAT on the VAT is on output input mechanism. Government discovered that at most time what they receive as VAT is usually low because people have claimed input VAT. Those people that actually have that input VAT fail to remit. So that will increase revenue compliance on the issue of on that regards. Like I said, the CBN is also assisting FRS in this regard on the issue of that has to do with importation and export transactions. Also, Nigeria Custom is also assisting in this area as well as one of the stakeholders. Currently now, like I said, even though it's to business, Nigeria is there are some people that are exempted for now. The people that some small companies were exempted from the issue of e-invoicing now. Diplomatic mission and their personnel are exempted from the issue of e-invoicing. Government agencies in Nigeria are also exempt from the e-invoicing. So specifically imports by Nigerian security agencies they also exempted from the issue of the e-invoicing. So, what are the most of the issues that may accrue? Please note, if any invoice if there's no e-invoice issued by a buyer to you, you may be losing your input VAT. The input VAT that should be claimed will not be allowed if there is no e-invoicing. So, if you are in a large taxpayers group and you, as a tax practitioner, as a professional accountant, you must probably advise your company because the deadline now is November 25. So once that invoice is not captured within 24 hours, that will be an issue because within 2 hours, that invoice will be issued. But for business to customer, you can report the invoice within 24 hours. But for B2B and B2G, it must be repeated within immediately. And FIS will issue that invoice reference number to you within 2 to 4 hours of receiving that invoice. So as a tax professional, we must be aware of this. What are the benefits? I want you to cast back your mind back to the previous way in the past, whereby FIS come to you, they want to audit you, and the issue of this document is lost. We can't have this document, or there's a fraud on this thing. With the issue of e-invoicing, that will be reduced, and that will also put a less strain on your employee that's involved, that's interacting with FRS, right? And other benefits that I also said was the issue of the enforced compliance. The idea is still enforced compliance now. People have viewed that Nigeria is losing revenue on this. With the issue of e-invoicing, FIS may not necessarily come to your company to come and audit because the issue of revenue has been established. Whatever cost that is also liable to the buyer has been established. So cast your mind back to some people that traveled outside the country. Have you wondered why it is easier for those people when you get to the airport to claim your input VAT back? I mean, to claim the VAT you have paid back. It's because the system is integrated. They can easily sleep with the scan code. They can easily know the amount of VAT you have paid, and that can be refunded to you. That's where FRS is going this time around, and that's what is the issue of modernized record keeping. The issue of record keeping, whereby people complain that they can't keep record for years, will be reduced. And for me now, I always want to say that the invoice system is a major leap forward toward a modern and transparent tax system in Nigeria. And we as a tax professional, as accountant, we must stand as a front line now of this transformation by guiding our clients, by guiding our employee, by guiding our employer about all these things and simplifying its adoption and ensure there's a compliance. Because if you don't comply, there's a lot of issues arising from this. You may lose your customer, you may lose your client. Imagine you deducting, input VAT, we charging VAT on the transaction, and that is not reported under the invoicing. And that kind of yours is the issue of the input VAT. That be a position on that company. So you are not only helping your system and your company. We must fall in line to seamlessly integrate this position into the system. So I want us to probably this way. I will also share some the flow with us through the technical secretary, how it flows from that fiscalization and how the things flow into the buyer. So every industry and every nation will have to transform themselves into the next few years. And because the way we are going now, our economy is really want to improve like this. Thank you so much. That's my little contribution. But I don't know if I can thank the presenter now that I've got. Maybe we should take a question now.
No, thank you so much for your contribution, my Dr. Analaji. Thanks so much, sir.
Answer some questions
so,
anyway.
I think we can take questions now. Okay. So I have 4 questions, or I have 4 hands indicated here for questions. Samuel Odepumi, please, can you present your questions?
Okay, thank you. The technical session.
The question is now becoming 6.
Okay, so sir, I would love you to allow Alhaji Dr. Bishiriyu to help us to talk about real time, just in time, and near time, because I listened to him when he was talking about 24 hours. So I understand many technical sessions that I've attended, most especially by FRS, they are telling us of the real time, just in time, and near time. Now the issue of 24 hours has come in. How do we